Hello everyone, welcome to AI Anytime channel. In this video, we are going to explore Amazon Bedrock on AWS Cloud. So Bedrock basically helps you build generative AI powered applications faster, scalable as well because it's kind of helps you build production level solutions. And we are going to see how we can build a RAG solution using Amazon Bedrock or AWS Bedrock services. Bedrock has great capabilities when it comes to building agents, knowledge bases, using n number of large language models, both open source and the closed ones. So you can just deploy or select a model over there and just use that as an API endpoint, or also completely serverless through just using that on AWS Bedrock or any other services on Amazon. So we're gonna see how we can build a production level RAG, here using Amazon Bedrock. I'll also show you that how you can retrieve from Amazon Bedrock based models like Titan One or the other embeddings model or that has been given by Amazon. But I also show you that once you have the retrieved chunk, how can you use Azure OpenAI, for example, or any other model outside of the AWS ecosystem. It's gonna be an interesting video. So if you look at here on my screen, I am on Amazon Bedrock. Uh, it says the easiest way to build and scale Gen AI applications with foundation models or foundational models, which is right because AWS is now Amazon is now really competing well when it comes to other big giants like OpenAI, Mistral, and things like that. So I mean, Amazon has a partnership with Anthropic as well. So the cloud model is available. The other open source model, you can also use it through Bedrock services. The Let's talk about the data now because I think that is very important. And right now, if you look at in our country, right, India is going through elections. Uh, and we call it Lok Sabha elections, by the way, to select our prime minister, and it's happening in different phases because we are a very big country and uh, large population. So this happens in phases, and we have completed few phases already. So the source document is going to be the manifestos of two big political parties. One is you can see it over here. It's the current government that we have in country, BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, or the NDA government, which is like different allies or alliances that we have. And the other one is uh, INC, India National Congress Party. So like the India, they also have alliances with different regional parties and the other national parties as well. So we'll take these two and we'll try to build a retrieval system that will retrieve based on your query, and then once we have the retrieved chunk, we'll pass it to a large language model to synthesize the responses from it. Okay. Now on Bedrock, you need an account on AWS. So let's go into get started. Once you go into get started on Amazon Bedrock, guys, and you need first of all you need if you are on IAM access, or if you are working in your organization, you need all the policies attached to use Amazon Bedrock. Okay, you need permissions to use that. So if you have an IAM role, you have to ask your admin to go to IAM or then attach policies or give you permission so you can work with Amazon Bedrock. That I'm not showing that part. That's very easy to do. Just go to IAM, uh, select the role or also the user group, whatever you want, and then just click on uh, you know attach policies or give permissions and give Amazon Bedrock full access. Okay, just for now. Okay, on of our Bedrock, and also S3 full access because we're gonna put our data in Amazon S3. So if you look at here, let me give you a quick walkthrough of Amazon Bedrock, guys. And this is going to be a bit lengthy video, guys. So feel free to skip the part if you are not interested in. Now, if you look at here on Bedrock, let me just minimize all of this. I'll just show you. So they have everything that you need to build Gen AI applications. They have foundation models, they have playgrounds, they have safeguards because we're going to talk about the rails and guards and rails and whatever. Then they have orchestration, and we're going to be interested in orchestration today in this video. So for the orchestration, they provide you knowledge bases and agents. They also gives you how to evaluate model and provision throughput, just for the evals, because I think that's very important for model evaluations, monitoring, and things like that. Okay. Now you can find out the foundation models over here. You can use Titan, which is Amazon proprietary models, Claude by Anthropic. Anthropic is one of the partner of AWS. Command by Coher. Command has done really well on the evaluation benchmarks. Llama 3 by Meta recently has created havoc on the leaderboards, guys. Uh, one of the most fantastic model when it comes to reasoning capabilities. So far, we have Mistral by Mistral AI, a French startup, and Stability AI, a London-based company for stable diffusion. You have chat, you have text, you have images, you can play around it. That's their landing page. You can request model access for the best model. Let me show you how you can go to model access. When you click on that model access, you can see I need few models and I got access to that. Very easy to do that. Now you can look at AI 21 Labs has Jurassic models. Amazon has bunch of models, and I only need Titan embeddings G1 for text. If you are building a multimodal solutions where you have images, tables, and things like that, I will recommend you to go with multimodal embeddings G1. You can see access has been granted for that, as I'll show you how you can get access. If you want to use any of the Claude model, you need to put your business case or the use case details in the form, and then they will have a look at that, and then they will give you that. Now, Coher has Command R plus, blah blah blah. Meta has all the Llama 3 and Llama 2 models. Mistral has the Instruct and 7B MOEs, and Stability has HDXL1. If you want access, you have to click on Manage Model Access. Click on that. Once you do that, the selection will be available now to select or choose your model. So, for example, if I need, let me show you now. If I need Mixtral 8x7B, I'm just going to click on Save Changes. Once I do that, you will see that this model has been access granted because it does not require any additional information to give it to AWS so they can review it. It's just click on that and you can immediately get the access. Now, and you can read that it says to use Bedrock, you must request access to Bedrock FMs. To do so, you will need to have the correct IAM permission. As I said, you need permissions to kind of work with this. You may first need to submit use case for that for Claude. More information about these models is available on the provider space. So I'm not going to go inside this. Now let me just, yeah. Now we're going to be interested in knowledge bases, guys. So let me bring you to knowledge base. Now imagine if you have millions of documents, 100 millions of documents. Let's think like that because people have gone gaga about that. I have petabytes of data, even they don't have, to be honest. Okay, but they say I have 1 million because other competitors are doing 1 million. So I also have 1 million documents. Come on, you have thousands of documents. 1 million is a huge amount of document that you need to digitize or whatever. But even in that case, if you have, that is fine. Now, if you have 1 million of documents, guys, you cannot do that with fast Chroma or those kind of databases. Even on the open source kind of vector databases like Web8, Qdrant, uh, Milverse, and some others, right? It's difficult to work with them, to be honest. You need something scalable. You can scale that. The volume can be handled in petabytes of data or GBs of data, and you need hyperscalers to work with, guys, because you are working in an enterprise, and that's where Bedrock comes in. The knowledge basis means that you go and create an S3 bucket. So let me just show you that. Let me go to S3. I'll open S3. Let me just give me a minute. I'll just delete this. I'll just delete this bucket. So let me open S3 here. So let me just go to S3. Once I go to S3, you will see it says store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. So we're gonna put all of our data here in S3, and so let's create a bucket first. See this as a database storage. It's not an actual RDS or a relational database or a NoSQL database. The bucket basically helps you. You can put any kind of data here, any kind of data formats, images, videos, audios, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the GIF files, everything over here. Now, it's really fantastic. One of the best out there in the industry. So I know at least you aware of S3. I'm not going to talk more about it. Once you see this, it's gonna ask me bucket type. I'm gonna keep this general purpose, so let's keep this, and I'm going to say demo bucket probably. And always remember, guys, S3 is global. Okay, so you have to keep this in mind. I'm gonna call it demo AI anytime. This is what I wanna call. All this looks good, and I'm going to block all public access. This is fine. Let's block all public access. This is good. This is good. This is good. And you can see it says successfully created bucket demo AI anytime. Now inside demo AI anytime, you can upload over here. Okay, so you can upload your you can create a folder also. So let me first create a folder here. So I'm gonna call this data sets. So let's create a data set. This is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Create folder. Now I'm going to put my, because I just created data set folder. It's better to, organize it in a better way, because if you have more folders, you can bring it up over here. You can create different data set, different knowledge bases on Bedrock if you have different types of document. Now, I don't know why I clicked on this. Inside data sets, I'm going to bring up my files. So let's click on upload, add files, and let me go to document, let me go to data, and just copy this too. Come over here and upload. And once I upload it, it will take a bit of time, and you can see it's taking a bit of time to get that done. And let's just close this now. Okay, so I'll just close this, and I'll go to demo AI anytime. So if you look at, let me just go to buckets. Now on S3, we have demo AI anytime. Inside demo AI anytime, we have a dataset folder. Inside dataset folder, we have two files. You can bring millions of files over here, depending on if you have the compute budget to afford that. That's the point. Now we are done with this, guys. Okay, so let's now move to knowledge base thingy. Okay, I'm just bringing up my monitor. Now in the knowledge base, let's create knowledge base. I'll just I'll just probably keep this as default, but you can change the name. But I'll just keep this as default here. Okay, in the orchestration, you can also orchestrate through agents, but I'm not gonna orchestrate that. Okay, here and cool. This is fine. You can give some options like demo KB. Demo KB is done, and then come down, come down. You can put some tags. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, these are all fine. Just click on next, and it says Amazon S3. Provide details to connect Amazon Bedrock to your S3 data source. Keep that as default. I'm not gonna make any changes. You can also bring from other AWS account if you have your database in some other account, because in the large enterprises you have multiple accounts. So you can also bring it from there. Let's click on here. Okay, so this is all fine, and I'll show you something here. So let me just go inside demo AI anytime and just click on data sets and choose. Make sure you are taking the path attentively, because you should not keep only the main folder. You have to go into the sub folder where, because you have n number of folders. Now, once you select that, you have chunking strategies. So in chunking strategies, it's better to go with default chunking. But if, for example, if you want to keep chunk size as 1000, chunk overlap as 100, you can also do that. For that, you have to click on fixed size chunking. But I'm gonna keep this as default. But guys, always remember, chunking is a trial and error experimentation. There is no thumb rule that you have to follow 1000, 100. It all depends on what kind of documents you have and how does the data looks like within the document. Do you want to split on headers, subheaders? You want to create key values pair, blah blah blah. So it depends on how you do that according to your data. So never, just go with popular opinions of saying I will just do 1000 and 100 of chunk size and chunk overlap. It never works like that. Okay. So these are all fine. Let's click on next. Now once you do that, you will see embedding models, and these models will be listed because we have the model granted in the model access. I'm gonna go with G1 text. This is by Amazon, the Titan embeddings model. And now here are the things. When you look at the vector database, and it's not store, the difference between vector store and databases are like databases are scalable. You can put millions of vectors into it and you can retrieve faster. The latency will be not a problem. But when you use a vector store, it's good for hobby projects like fast chroma. It's not at all good for production level, guys. Never use that if you are selling a product, or you are building a vertical SaaS. You have to go with something that you can scale up later. Okay. Now It says create a new vector store. So what I will do, I will select this recommended because Amazon has something called Amazon Open Search Service, AOSS, which basically is a vector database on AWS, which is fascinating, which is fantastic. So I'm gonna say that okay, my data is in S3. Create a vector store using Titan embedding model and put that in AOSS. My data is not going anywhere else. It's everything there in the VPC, of course. You can configure that, private network, whatever. But my data is there. Okay, now I'm gonna click recommended, which is already clicked. But if you want to try something else like Pinecone, Redis, MongoDB, Atlas, Amazon Aurora, or whatever, you can also select that. Now, when you click on that, it asks you to select, for example. So you have to configure, Pinecone, MongoDB Atlas, or blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to click on create a new vector store, and that will be serverless. So I'm not going to configure the vector database. I'm asking AWS that, hey, okay, I don't have knowledge how to configure this, but I want to build something faster to retrieve some information. Then you go with the serverless because it is fantastic, not only from a knowledge standpoint, but also let AWS handles all the server complexity. You just focus on building products. What I'm going to do is, and of course, it's going to be a bit costly, guys. I'll show you the pricing, but let me just click on next. Once you click on next, it will ask you to review and create. So let's click on create knowledge base, and it will take a bit of time. So because it's going to, spin off an instance, create all the vectors, store it, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to click on create knowledge base. Okay. It will not right now create the vectors, but it will create the knowledge base. We have to sync the data. I'll show you in a bit, but let me first hit this and then I'll take a pause, guys, after this. You can see it has started. It says preparing vector database in Amazon Open Search Serverless. This process may take several minutes to complete. Let me go to S3 and in the services, and I'll show you here Open Search. And let me just right click and open this. When you open this, it will show you that we are creating something. Right now it's not, but it will take a bit of time. You go to serverless, and you can see it's now accessing it. It will create here in the serverless. It's creating, and this is what Amazon open source service is. Okay, you can completely ingest directly from dashboard as well. Here you have an ingestion thingy. You can see this here, ingestion dashboard pipelines, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and you can also integrate with other services, third-party services, or a data source as well. Now we'll take a pause here, guys, and we'll come back once this is done. All right, guys, as you can see that our knowledge base is created successfully. uh, it it has been printed that knowledge base. The name of the knowledge base is created successfully. Sync one or more uh, data sources to start testing. Now go to data source. We'll go to data source, not required. Let's just click that. Okay, set model. Yeah, I'll just click on cancel for now. I want to show you the retrieval first. Okay, now come here on the data source and you have to click on this. You can see this is your data source overview. Let's go back. Now, once you come down, you have to click on this part. And once you click on this part, then you click on this button called sync. Now you have to sync your data source with the vector database that has been created in Amazon Open Search Service and serverless, AOSS serverless. Okay. Now click on sync. Once you click on sync, it will start syncing your data, chunking everything, creating the embeddings and store that in Amazon Open Search Service, AOSS. I'm a big fan of it, guys, by the way. And it will get stored over there and then you can start retrieving it. Okay, so the retrieval will be, we can test it out here. We'll test that in a bit. And this is going to take a bit of time depending on how lengthy your documents are. Okay, but anyway, let's go to, and you can see it's almost done. It says available now. When you click on this knowledge base, it's completed. Sync history, we have synced it one time. Let's go back here in the knowledge base and it will get refreshed. I'll just click on to configure your retrieval. Yeah, you can also do that. I'm not going to do it. Okay, you can see this is how you can, how many documents do you want. Number of documents means number of, it's like the page content in LangChain. How many documents? So the n, Swiss k, so k equal to 5 means number of documents as 5. So by default it's 5, and I think this is fine enough. You can also do a hybrid search, you can do a default search, you can do a semantic search, blah blah blah. Okay. Now Amazon Bedrock decides the search strategy for you. Okay. So basically for it, you can again this is completely on domain expertise. If you want to, I think you should baseline on which retrieval is working fine, because retrieval is the key, guys. If your retrieval system is not retrieving the right context, then LLM will always hallucinates because it does not have the information, right, that you need. So it should be a bit careful here to how to select a search type depending on if you want a hybrid search, which is like BM25 retriever, the fast uses it, and then others as well, semantic and text, or you need only semantic, you just vector embeddings to deliver relevant results. Okay. It says combine relevancy scores from semantic and text search to provide greater accuracy. Now, when you click on hybrid search, you can also do that. Okay. Now, let me just ask the question, for example. So here you can enter your message and let's try it out. So let's first keep the default search and see if that is making any difference. Come to the BJP manifesto, Bharatiya Janata Party, our Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, has done a great job for the country, guys. But I leave up to you to decide whom to vote in this ongoing election. Let's ask some questions. What are some questions we can ask? Let me see. Hmm. Uh, I'm trying to ask a difficult question and see. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, let's ask this question. Tell us about Yuva Bharat. Now, when you click on run, you can see how fast it has retrieved. Okay, so it says it has given you five content. Of course, you can source details. When you click on source details, it give you the source chunks. Basically, the metadata that you need, right? That's what you will be printing as a source document. If you have n number of n number of files, you can see this is the file that it has retrieved from the value, and we'll see that later on. This is not a problem. So it basically gives you the source citation. So it basically cites that the references. Okay. Now, this is fine. Okay, so we are not that worried about this. Okay, now you can see hide source detail. When you click on this, this will be like this. Now, go a bit up, test knowledge source. Now, let's just go back here. Okay, and let's try it out a hybrid search. And I'm gonna ask the questions like from Congress, probably minorities, right? Telangana is a synonym of Ganga Jamuna culture, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay. Let me ask this question here. No, basically that's not the right question because that will be not the right question. Okay, I'm just thinking something. Huh. So, and you can put more documents, guys, related to government if you are building something for the government policies and other things. Uh, Tell me about labor department or things like that. Once you do that, and you can see it gives you in seconds. Okay, it gives you something related to it has given you what you need, labor department, and then you can pass this to LLM, and it will look at all these chunks and then synthesize the response for you. So the retrieval is this is how you build a retrieval. So you have hybrid search, you have default search. I will recommend you go with hybrid search when you have a complex data. Okay, so I think hybrid search works good in that, because if that's not in the vector embeddings, then it can go to the keyword search and retrieve that. So that's very important as well to keep in mind. Now I think we are good with the retrieval, guys. I hope you understood how to retrieve at least. So far we have built the retrieval. Okay, you can run it out here. You can test it. I'll also show you now how you can use this programmatically. We'll create a lambda function and then we'll use it from there. I'll keep it very minimal, guys, but it's all you how you have to decide. You can create an API gateway, create a function URL, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm gonna create a lambda function for this. Okay, but now so far what we have done, let me summarize that. So we have few documents in S3. We created a knowledge base on Bedrock, and then we have a vector database in open source service, and so far we have completed this. Now let's build or let's create a lambda function now for this. All right, guys. So let's create the Lambda function. Now, Lambda, it says lets you run code without thinking about servers. So Lambda function is again serverless. Let AWS handles all the servers complexity. Lambda, if you are building a low latency solutions, you should orchestrate through Lambda, which is fantastic. We're going to create a Lambda function. You can create this in different languages. .NET, Java, Node.js, Python, Ruby, and custom runtime. You can also configure custom runtimes. Let's click on create a function. Author from scratch. We're going to do this from scratch. If you have a cloud formation template or a CFT template, you can also do that. I'm not going to do that here. You also have a container image option where you have a container image. You can also deploy that. Okay, but let's keep it default. I'm going to call this demo lambda. I'm going to select Python 3.11 as the runtime, and exit 860. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Oh, you can create a function URL if you want. I'm not gonna do that here. Okay, when you click on enable function URL, this is same like Azure functions and cloud functions on GCP and Azure function on Microsoft Azure. I'm not gonna do that. If you do that, you have to click buffer stream and you have to configure some codes. This is fantastic. Function URL versus API gateways can be another video. I have a video earlier. You can check that out. I'll give the link in description. Create function. What happening? It takes a bit of time. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. So creating the function. Now you have your function over here. Let's just get rid of this code thingy. I'll make a bit bigger so you can read this Lambda function code. I'm just gonna paste this from my GitHub. I'll give this code, of course. Let's come back, paste. I'll explain that what I'm doing. Okay. And here we are passing one thing which is knowledge base ID, and I'm going to put that in environment, but let me just first copy this here, knowledge base ID. Copy, come, and what I'm doing here, let me explain that. So we are saying, okay, import OS and Boto3, which is an SDK to basically program, programmatically through Python or anything else. And I'm saying create a Boto3 session and initialize the Bedrock client. That's what we are doing it over here. Then we are retrieving the knowledge base ID from environment variable, which is kbid environment.get. We'll put that in environment. I'll show that in a bit. And then we have a retrieve function where we are passing the input text and the kbid, okay, which is in params. Now kbid, blah blah blah, and then saying response where we are using the bedrock underscore agent underscore runtime client that we have in line number 6 that we have initialized, and we are using the retrieve function. It has three different types of function: retrieve and invoke, retrieve, and there was one more, only invoke or something. We have to see that. And then we are passing the knowledge base ID as the kbid, retrieval query equal text input text, and some configuration. I'm only getting the, you can also probably number of results 5. You can also increase that if you want. You can put some filter and blah blah blah. Okay. And then I have a lambda handler where we are just handling it, passing the event questions, retrieving query kbid in the function, and then just getting it done. Now once you do that, I'll make it a bit small now, 100%. This is cool, this is cool, this is cool. Now let me show you a few things. Go to configurations, scroll down, you will see environment variables. Click on environment variables, edit, and I'm going to edit knowledge base ID, but I need that from Bedrock. Let me just go to Bedrock here, and I'm going to just close this. Of course, after this video, you know, uh, I will delete that anyway, so that is fine. Okay, let's come here in knowledge base and take this knowledge base ID. So I just copied it, come here, paste, and just click on save. So now you have saved the environment variable. General configurations, increase the timeout. 3 seconds is too less. We're gonna make this at least 1 minute, 3 seconds. Save. Let's go to permissions now, and it will show you a role name. Click on demo lambda role. It will open in a new tab. It will open in an IAM, identity access management, and you can see I do not have the permissions, but I'll give that permission anyway. That is not fine. But let's come back to demo here, lambda. Okay, and you can see this is code. This is where the Lambda code written. I will test it out. Let me first give this access, guys. For that, I have to log in with my root access, not the IAM on the root credentials. Let me do that and I'll come back in a bit. All right, I have logged in with my root access, the root credentials, and I'm going to click on some permissions thingy now. Let's go on configuration, permissions, click on this role name. It will open in a new tab. Let's get rid of this. Now here you can add permissions. Let's attach policies, and I'm going to do Bedrock full access. Click on this add, full access, add permissions, and you can see it says policy was successfully attached to the role. Now we can go back to Lambda, okay, to, and now once you go back, I think we are in the Lambda here, so let's just come back, refresh. Once you refresh this, you will see now two things. So we have Bedrock full access now. Okay, so this is fine. Okay, now we can see all resources, Bedrock, blah blah blah. Now here you have to add permissions for the invoke function. So let's do that. AWS services, function URL. Should we do the function URL or principal ID, statement ID, grant permission to invoke your function through the function URL to another AWS account user, or do you can do both. Let me get that here. Invoke function. Invoke function URL is not required. Here I'm going to select invoke function. So let's select that. And I'm going to click on Lambda invoke function. This is what you need. And here you're going to ask about your ARN. Now this ARN is nothing, but we have to go to Bedrock again. So let me just do right click, too much of back and forth, guys. So you should keep all the tabs open. Now here on the Bedrock, I'll go to Bedrock again. I'll go to knowledge bases. You need the ARN from your vector database that you created. So this is the ARN I'm talking about, the collection ARN. Let's just copy this, come back, paste it here. And you can just click something like allow Bedrock here, the statement ID. But you want to allow Bedrock. So this is very important, guys, to do that. Oh, it didn't ask me, principal didn't ask me about the ARN for account. It should ask me about the principal. I mean the ARN for an account. Let me try it out. Okay. All right. Not this. So the principal should be bedrock dot amazon aws dot com. Excuse me. Yeah, that is fine. Not the ARN, but I think the ARN will be automatically taken, so that is fine. Because we have passed that. Let me see that here. Effect allowed, conditions none. Statement ID, bedrock, amazon aws.com. This is fine. Allow, effect is fine. Action. Uh, the conditions, if I edit, not the conditions, let me see. Action is fine. Source ARN. Ah, all right. This is what I was thinking. Okay, now when I copy this, let me see here if that makes sense. Absolutely. Now this makes sense now to me. Yeah. Now when you click on, yeah, this is fantastic. I think we are done. Now I have shown you because the previous videos on AWS. AWS is my favorite cloud, but when I created a lot of videos on AWS deployment, you guys have asked me how to add permissions, policies, blah blah blah. So I think we are good. So you have to do two things. Here we have to add permission, and I have shown you how to do that. And then here you have to, in this role name, you have to add the permissions to full access to Bedrock. Come back on code. This is what the code is. And what I'm gonna do now, probably I will also show you. I'll just get out of this, sign out from this, and I'll log back in a moment. Let me do that. All right, guys, we are done with our Lambda also. I'm logged in with my IAM again because I wanted to show it from IAM and root both, right? Because root will give you the access, the privileges, and in the IAM role, you will be executing that at your workplace or at your wherever you work, right? So that's how it is. Now let's go to test. When you come to test, I have one already a test that I was testing it out. But you can create a new event. But you can see I've created an event called demo test, and then I'm putting a JSON, and this JSON payload has a question. I'm asking a question, what is 75 milestone? And that question is here. You can look at this, right? I'm trying to retrieve this 75 milestones for India at 75. And our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's photo is here, and I'm asking this question 75 milestones for India at 75. Come here, and just click on test. Once you click on test, you will get the details, and you can see status code 200. I'll make it a bit bigger so you can read this. Let me just do that. Now, here you can find out your, where did it go, man? Okay, here you can find it out your retrieval results. The context, the text, and the text comes up with the metadata like location, S3 locations, blah, blah, blah. And score also, it gives you a score, and you can find out 46% of the matching. You can also do a hybrid search as I was showing. Now this has basically this has been able to retrieve the chunks. Right now what we can do, we can take all of these retrieved chunks, the context, the information, whatever you call it, and just give it to a large language model. Of course you have to write a prompt, you write a RAG prompt, or you take it from LangChain Hub, or you do whatever you want to do. But you can take a prompt, and you can take this and just give it to an LLM, open source, closed source, doesn't matter, to retrieve or to generate responses. So RAG has retrieval and generation, two different steps. This is what I wanted to show you in this, right? So far the retrieval has been done. Now let's do it programmatically, right? Because that's what you would be interested in, how to do this programmatically, and I'm going to show you now how we can build this programmatically in a Python app or a Streamlit app. So let's do that now. If you look at here on my screen, guys, I have a fast API already created. Probably I'll give the link in description. Of course, the GitHub link, which will have all the codes. But I'll show you how you can now bring up programmatically. I'll show you a few things. Okay. Now let me go to my VS Code. On the VS Code, you will see a few things. One is called .env. Now this .env kind of contains everything that we need, all the secrets and credentials. And then we have a requirements txt. Now if you look at the requirements txt, we have OpenAI, because I'm going to use Azure OpenAI because I want to combine Bedrock with other LLMs. See, Bedrock LLMs, like, it's easy to just use it from there, right? But if you want to use Azure OpenAI with the Bedrock services, how can you do that? That's the plan. OpenAI, then we have Fast API, then we have UVCon, because Fast API needs UVCon server to run. UVCon is like a web server that helps you run Fast API code. Python.env just to load through env secrets. Multipart just to handle some API methods. LangChain, OpenAI community, Boto3. Boto3 is like the SDK to connect with AWS services. Let me give you a quick walkthrough. I'm not going to write this code. I'm just going to give you a walkthrough of this because it's a bit easy. We are importing whatever we need from Fast API. HTTP exception, status query, JSON response, and redirect response. Probably you can use redirect response for directly go to 8000 or the Swagger UI or the other UIs, that redoc, whatever. Now, Bodo 3 JSON OS, some utilities from, we are using Azure Chat OpenAI. So I have my own personal Azure account where I have deployed some GPT 3.5 and GPT 4 models. Then we have prompt template, and we have LLM chain. You can use retrieval chain, conversational chain, any chain you want. It's up to you guys to do that. Now, I have loaded all the env that I need, and then I have initiated the app Fast API. And now I have a Lambda client where I'm initiating the Boto3.client Lambda region name. So which region? So my region was US East 1. And then you give your access key ID and secret access key. Now these are being generated from AWS. Here, let me show you. Now these are being generated from these credentials that you see, access keys. Here you have to click on create access key if you do not have one, and then you put that in env, in a key value pair, and you can see access key ID and secret key, secret access key. I'm printing the Lambda client. I was printing it for something. And then get context, I have a function which connect with your Lambda, invoke the Lambda function, read the Lambda function's response. This is nothing but the same thing that we have in the Lambda function code, guys. Navigate to the retrieval result. So what I'm doing, I'm just retrieving the result and passing it to OpenAI. I'll show that to you. Okay, the Azure OpenAI, you can find out here. Now, this is my Azure Chat OpenAI thingy. I have a simple prompt template here, and I'm saying that this context is coming from the Bedrock knowledge base that we have created through the embedding model. and then I'm using this LLM chain, just getting it out query and just parsing the result. Once I pass the result, I'm just putting it here, chat with knowledge base, get answer from KB, JSON response, and that's what I'm doing. Now once I run this code, this is how it looks like, guys. Okay, I'll come back here. I'll just close these all off now. Okay, not required. Okay, let me just close this. I'll give all, probably ask a question, the same question. Okay, let me ask this question. 75 milestone for India. Okay, so I'll just expand this, try it out, and put this question. What is, I'm just going to say milestone for India, and let's just execute. Once you execute it, here you'll find out the answer in a bit. You can see that we got our answer. Let me just copy this here. Okay, probably I'll put this in a Word file. Let me put this in a Word file here. And once I put it in a Word file, you can find out here. It says the 75 milestones for India are a set of goals and achievements that the country aims to fulfill by its 25th, 75th anniversary of independence in 2022. Blah, blah, blah. So you got an answer, guys. I'm not showing the metadata here, but you can do that. It's up to you. You can show the page document, a source document. You can show the metadata. You can show the confidence score as I was showing in the Lambda function. Now, if you look at the Lambda function, we are printing it everything. You can just print it here as well if you want. This is what I wanted to show you guys in this video, an end-to-end drag. You can also deploy this fast API if you want to do that. You can just let me show how you can do it quickly. So I'm gonna show that how easy it is to do that. Now you go to render, click on new web service. Once you click on web service, you can do it in free, by the way. It asks you build and deploy from a Git repository. Let's click on next. Once you click on next, you can just add your repository over here from GitHub. I'm not going to do that. I already have videos on that. Please check that video out. How to link your GitHub repository to Render, Netlify, Railway, blah blah blah. There are others as well. Now, this is what I wanted to do, guys, in this video. AWS Bedrock, your own knowledge base, using an embedding model, using a large language model, and building an end-to-end RAG, and show that to you in a fast API endpoint as well. You can build a very good-looking UI now. Okay, I leave up to you. How do you want to consume this for your end user? Yeah, but this is what it is, guys. I hope you now understood how to set up your knowledge base on Bedrock, how to attach policies, give permissions, build a Lambda function, use that in a Python code, build an API, and now you can take this and build an application as well on the front end. Okay. If you have any question, thoughts, feedback, please let me know in the comment box. If you like the content I'm creating, please hit the like icon, guys. That motivates me to create more such videos, and also subscribe the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Share the videos and the channel with your friends and to peer. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.